All right, so we're going to continue from where we stopped. We are talking about routing and layouts. And when you're working on a single page application, when you want to deal with routing, you need the React router DOM because React doesn't give you the functionality for routing. So in order for you to route user from one page to another, then you need React. Look at this side now. I can move from one page to another one. So if I click on the home page, it will take me to the page there. And if I click on this graphics design, you see that it will show us another content. If I go to the tutorial here, as you can see, it's giving us a separate content. So how do we do something like this in our single page application from React then? So we need a library that we can use for that. And the name of the library is the React router DOM here. So, and this is a library that we need to install, which is something that we did the last class here. But I will go over everything once again. So when you're dealing with React, so it gives us some features. And one of the features we have there is this client-side routing. Because we have two types of routing. We have the server-side routing and we have the client-side routing. So client means it's happening on your browser. Everything that the changes is happening on the browser. It's not going back to the server to pick the file that you want to display. What you are just doing is to switch the component, but you already know the component to switch into. It doesn't need to go to the server and fetch the file for you before it can display it. And that's why it's kind of a fast anytime you switch from one page to another one, because it's happening on your browser. And that's why we call it the client side routing. So it's not happening on the server. Once it loads the file for the first time, every other thing will be happening on the browser. And that's what we call the client side routing. And how do you achieve this client side routing? So the first thing you need to do is to install your package, which is something that we've done here. As you can see, currently we are using version 6.24, and I think they already have another version right now. Say I think version 5, 6.25. Can you see? So the version has changed from the last one that we installed, but that one will still work because the 6 is not changing. It's when the 6 change, that's when you know that something has really changed there like that. So there is the changes from 24 to 25 just means that a new features that is introduced, but it's something that we don't even really need right now. But if the first number change, then that's what we call break changes. So which means the way you used to do something before, something has really changed. So you need to look into the documentation for what really changed. But since the number here is not changing, so we don't need to worry ourselves with that 24 and that 25 that is there like that. So once you install this your React router DOM, the next thing you need to do is to set up the routing, which is what we are doing inside this our app.jsx here. So the next thing you need to do is to set up the routing. So how do you set up the routing? So the thing you need to do is to import some stuff from the React router DOM. One of the things you need to import is this create browser router, because this is where you are going to give it all the routes and the necessary components to load. So you are going to define the route, and when the user go to that route, this is the component you want to show, and that's what we are doing on this line 17 here. So after importing this one, we are creating our browser router, and here as you can see we pass this array of objects, and each object is denoting the route that you want to handle. So what do we say here? Anytime we're on the slash, which is our normal home page, so anytime you go to this localhost pointer this 5173 slash, as you can see there is slash at the end. So anytime you are here, this is what we want to show to the user. But if the user now change the paths from this normal slash into this slash dashboard, then this is what we want to show, which can be component there, which is inside this file or in a separate file. Again too, we have this slash auth, and what do we want to show? We want to show all these elements that we can extract out from here into its own component like that, so which is something I'm going to do. So here I'm going to call it this auth layout. So that's what I want to call it. But where is this auth layout coming from? So we don't have it yet, so I'm just going to put it there. So which I'm going to do as a function, then auth layout like this. And what am I doing? Returning a JSS code like this. So this is what we wanted. So anytime this part is mentioned on the browser there, it's going to render this hot layout. But if you notice something here, we actually have what we call nested routing. So this thing is giving us the client routing, so which means you can just do your normal routing here. But apart from this normal one, you can actually have nested routing, which means that here you are on a particular page, but from that place you can go into a child routing, and whatever that is happening inside that route, inside the child routing, you are only going to see the parent one, because by default anytime you are using a nested routing, what you are going to see is whatever that is going on with the parent. But how are you going to be able to see the content of the nested route too? So you named something revert to as this outlet. So outlet is what you are going to use to render any content that is coming from the nested route. If you look at it here now, the route is hot, and this is what it's going to render. But anytime we are under its children, so what this means is that this login, you don't just you are not going to be specifying login. What you have to do is slash hot then slash login, because all these one they are nested under the hot, and since they are nested under the hot, then they have to come through this hot there. But we have to router DOM is not going to show you the content anytime you're on the login side. It will still show you what is coming from this parent too. But in order for you to see the nested route, then inside this parent somewhere, you must be using this outlet. So which is where you want to render the content of the nested route, the match nested route. And if this thing is not matching any nested route, then you are not going to see anything. So if you want to see this hot layout alone, you go to slash hot. And if you want to see this content here too, you go to slash hot then slash login. But don't forget it will not show this element until you rendered outlet inside this one. That's why I'm calling it layout, because this is what we normally use when you have different pages that have the same layout. You know that this thing will only show whatever that is coming from the parent. So you can now use it to create a layout like dashboard or the alt page or any page that the layout is only the same thing. So you don't repeat yourself. You just create the layout there, and you now put your outlet somewhere else inside the layout, and any nested route that is coming from that particular route here, it will always render them under the particular side that you mentioned. That's what we are trying to do here, where we have the header, we have the main, and we have the footer. So the footer and this header will always appear anytime we are going to this our login or sign up. But the content will be replaced with the content is going to replace whatever we have wherever you have this outlet in the parent component there. And that's why I'm calling it layout again. So we have this nested route. Another thing that we have there, another features that is giving us is known as dynamic segment or dynamic route. Because there's some time your route that you want to visit, you don't really know the actual, you know that this is what is going to come later on, but you don't actually know the particular value. For example, when you are dealing with a blog, you know, you actually know that user will go to slash blogs, but what is the idea of the blog? That thing is dynamic. It's something that is not static. It's something that is going to be coming from the server or based on whatever the user put there. So how do you now fetch the post that matches the particular ID that the user is applying there like that? That's where the dynamic this thing comes in, and this is what we use here. So anytime you need a dynamic part, you are going to start with the column, and whatever that follows it is the identifier that you are going to use to get whatever the user is passing here like that. And in your component, you can now have access to this dynamic part by using the use params there, which is something that we are using in our blog down here. So we know that we are going to be receiving ID. How do we know that we're going to be receiving ID? It's because of the name that we use here, and it's having column. So if it is another name, for example, if it is blog ID like this, it means when we want to receive it later on, it is the same name you are going to use. Whatever name you define here, anytime you want to receive whatever the user is passing there, that is the same name you are going to use. So instead of using ID here now, we need to replace it with blog ID. Whatever name you are using as a key here, that's the same name you'll be using to receive it later, because the thing will convert it automatically there, like that. And I'm receiving error somewhere here. So what's going on? Why am I receiving error? Okay, all this one that I'm not using. So it said I'm not using them. So why do I need to import them? So let me just comment them out, and you know that we don't have any error. And from there, this thing is not going to work yet, because what we just did here is just to set up your routing. So the next thing you need to use is a router provider, because this is one that's going to provide the routing for your application. And when are you going to do it? As you can see inside our app, we are returning the router provider, and we supply all our routes to the router there. And this one now, it will start doing the magic behind the scene there. So if I go to the browser and use our local host, then 513, you see that we are going to get the home page, because that's what we specify here, that we want to display anytime the user is on this slash home page there. But what if I want to go to dashboard? Then I just need to use the slash dashboard, but the user will not be coming to the address bar here to type all this in. They have to click on something on the page. And when you are dealing with normal HTML code, you use the A tag to navigate the user from one screen or from one page to another page. But when you are dealing with this React Router DOM, we need to use another thing, because we want to do client-side routing. We don't want this thing to reload before giving us the page. So that's why we need this link, which is a component that is given to us by the React Router DOM there. We're not creating anything. The only thing that we just need to supply to it is the address that we want to visit. And whatever you are supplying here needs to match the routing that you set up. So if you look at it, we have this dashboard. So if you want to go to the dashboard, it means we need to use the slash dashboard. So if you want to go to login or sign up, then it has to be slash auth, then slash login, or slash auth slash sign up, because all this one, they are nested routing under this auth. You can't just go to them directly. You have to pass through their parents before you get to them. And that's this one we are using this one here like this. And once you go back to the browser and you click, you see that React Router DOM is going to do all its necessary magic behind the scene. You are going to be switched to the component, which is the page there, and you see that everything here are going to work as if you are dealing with your normal navigation when you are dealing with the HTML there. And if I click on the login, you see that it will take us to the login, and you can see the URL has changed, and we get the content for the login. And if I press backspace, you see that it's taking us back to the previous page. It's the React Router DOM that is doing all this magic behind this, so that this thing can work with normal. It can work as if it is normal routing that you are doing on the browser like that. Because in the olden days, when you are dealing with the client-side routing, if you change component, if you press backspace, you see that the thing is not actually going back to the correct place that you need to go to, because the browser doesn't know what you are doing, because you are the one managing the stuff with JavaScript. So it's not connected to the browser routing there. So but the React Router DOM is doing all this magic for us that we don't need to worry ourselves about. So if I click on this dashboard, as you can see, we're on the dashboard page. But how do we go back? Because I don't want to be using back arrow. I don't want to be changing this in. So here too, I can go back to that page, and from there, I can use my link again. So let me go to the dashboard, which I'm not creating any page. Yeah, I did not create any page for it. So in front of this one, I will just use my link like this. So what I want to do, home. And if I click on this, so to, where are we going to? I want this thing to take me to the slash, because that's the home page. So it's going to take us to the home. Whatever routing you set up, that's what you'll be using to take the user to wherever they. And as you can see, it rendered the normal A tag, but behind the scene, the React Router DOM is going to hijack the stuff and do the normal routing there like that. Because if you check it on the browser, it's actually rendering the A tag. So if you check, can you see? It actually rendered the A tag. But React Router DOM is going to hijack it, because we call their component. There is some magic that thing is doing behind the scene for us that we don't need to worry ourselves about. So our own is just to give you what we want to do, and it will carry out the stuff for us. And if I click on this now, you can see it's taking us back to the home page like that. And we can do it for every other page that we have too, so that it can take us to wherever we need to be on the page there. And based on this now, you can now, build a page or build a site that deal with moving from one page into another page. But there's something I've not talked about, which is our blog. Because right now, I've not used my blog. So what do I need to do? So I need to go to my home page. So let's go back to the home page. So on this home page, I'm going to create a div. Inside this div, I'm going to have like 3 links, and each one of the links there, they are going to go to a separate blog with different ID. So here I'm going to have two, and where am I going to? So we need to pass the ID, and since this is going to be a code, there I want to use my list ranging here. So instead of me typing it myself, so I'm going to create a list of blocks here. So blocks, which is going to be ID like that. So this is going to be block 1, that is the ID. This is going to be block 2, block 3, block 4, and so like that. So this thing is something you are going to get from the server. Once you get it from the server, then you are now going to render it down here, which is something that we've talked about. So down here, instead of me calling this in again and again myself, what I can do is to use my list rendering. So I'm going to have blocks, then map. So each one, I'm going to get a block ID like this. And what do I need to do? I just need to return the HTML or the component that I want to render. So here now, I need to pass the link. And you know that the link is dynamic. So I need to use the backtick so that I can embed JavaScript code there. And what is the routing for our blocks? As you can see, it's expecting blocks, followed by slash, then followed by the ID of the blocks. So which means here I need to supply blocks. Then here I'm going to use this one here. And what is that? So it's going to be this block ID. Why am I using it directly? Is because it's just normal string that is there. But if this thing is object, you need to extract out what you want. But this thing is still complaining. Why is it complaining? It's because anytime you are working with a list, you should always give it these key props like that. Because this is what is going to use to differentiate between one link or one component from the other one that you are rendering there. So it's always good that you pass the key, and the key should always be unique, not just you are passing it. Whatever you are using as a key must be unique from one links to the other one there. So and since the block ID are unique, so I'm just going to use it because it's unique there like that. And if I save this stuff, you are going to see that on the page we'll be having our links. No, we are not going to have it because I did not put any text. So yeah, I'm just going to put blog, but I want to put 1, 2, 3. So where do I get that one for? So I'm going to get it from the index. Don't forget, when you're dealing with map, it will give you the value, it will give you the index, and it will give you the array itself. So I don't even need to be talking about this one. So yeah, I will just pass index plus 1 because I know the index is starting from 0, not 1. So that it will now look as if it is starting from 1 to the user. User don't need to know that this thing is 0, 1, 2, 3. Not because the user about that one. So here now, if I go back to the page, as you can see, we have block 1, block 2, block 3, and block 4. But everything is jam packed together. So we need to give it a style. So I'm going to give it this one, class blocks like this. So I'll go back to our CSS, which is our global CSS there. I can put it inside this app if we are importing it at the top. So as you can see, we are importing the app, so I can quickly put it here instead of using the global one. So from here, I'm just going to select my blocks. So this one is going to be display of flex, AIC here, line item center vertically. So gap is going to be 1 rem like this. And which other one? Where's this one? Flex wrap, because I want everything to wrap. And what is this thing doing? You are going to see. So let me give it background color. Do I have any background color here? No. So let me just use orange like this. So we need padding since we are applying background right now. So padding should just be 1 rem. Border radius should just be let me just use 0.25 rem like this. Nothing much. And on this, I want to target all my A. It have that blue color. I don't like that blue color. So all the A should just be this orange. But I'm going to use a darker version of the orange. So I will convert this orange to HSL so that I can control the lightness. So it's 50. So here I can just go to around that 20 like this. So that it's going to give me a deeper color like a darker color of the same shade. And if I go to the page, and as you can see, A is not styling my A tag. Why is it not styling my A tag? It means that somewhere A is being styled. As you can see, the A is not being styled. So since it's not being styled, let me just go there and give them a class, and I will target it from the class directly instead of wasting my time. Because this thing is just like your A. Whatever I used to do with A, just supply there. So I can give it a class. It's going to supply it to your A tag for you. So here, what do I want? I just want a blog link like this. So uh, this is my class. So instead of using A down here, because I think this A is not doing what I asked it to do, so I'm just going to use blog link like this. And if I save it and go back to the page, as you can see, it's now working like this. So we have our A. If I click on the first one, as you can see, we get the ID directly. So we should be able to go back from this blog page to the home page. So let's add the back button. So how do you add the back button? Is this the link? Anytime they click on it, it's taking them back to the previous page. So instead of us returning H1 like this, what we can do is to return the div so that we can do some stuff there under this side. What's going on? Return div H1. Then from here, I'm going to have link. Then the text there is going to be back to home page like this. I'm going to use one arrow beside this side. So it's going to be this left. So it's going to be left arrow. Okay. This thing is not want to give me my arrow. So yeah, what is going to be the I have what's wrong with this? Let me use okay. Yeah, it's going to complain because it's saying it as max, but let me put it to first. So what do I need? I'm the one that is not putting this in first. So what do I need? Where am I taking them to? I'm taking them to this home page. I'll come back into this. There, so click on this. We'll go back to the home page. Click on 4. We have the block for 4. Click on 2. We have the block for 2, which I can actually create array of block here. So const blocks, which is just going to be array of some dummy text like that, which I can just add ChatGPT to just give me so I'm just going there. So chat like this. So give me I don't even need to use this one. I can even use the one that is coming from this thing directly. So because I don't want this thing to be giving me long stuff like that. So let me just go to what was the name of these people? Yeah, things. They actually give me 3 or let's just say 6 blocks text like this. I can swipe down to bring their own copilots. They have copilot too. Come down. What's wrong with things? Let me open copilot. This is what I asked it to do. Where's my text? See what that? What is it giving me? Give me 3 sample text for AI blogs. It's not 3. Yeah, as you can see. So I just need all these things. Yeah, too much. Too much. I only need this. Okay, I can even use this. So this first one is going to be this. The first one is going to be this. So let me copy it. So this is our first blog. So the team will be picking them, and we need to. So I need to have an ID. So here I have blog. What is the ID? What did I use at the top? Because the ID needs to match. Okay, blog 1, blog 2, because you are going to be picking a particular block. This is like you are communicating with the backend. So this is going to be objects, so not array. So it's going to be object like this. So the key is going to be this. So it's going to be whatever. So block one, and what's the value there? So it's going to be this. So the next one is going to be block two, block three, comma side. This AI is. So this is going to be, so the next one is going to be block three. The next one is going to be block four. This tab 9 is, it's waiting for me to type before printing. I have to switch to the other one and disable this block. So I did not even copy this incomplete. So let me copy this one. So copy the text like this. So paste it. Then copy the other one. So copy, patient here like this. So paste like this. So what do we want to do? Then let me copy this one like that. So what's going to be this? So paste. I think we have 4. So what do we want to do? What we want to do here is that now we are receiving the params, which is this blog ID. So based on this now, what we can do is to extract out the ID from the blocks. This one is an object, and the key, is what we are receiving from it. So based on the key you receive here, just pick it out from here, and it will pick the value for that particular one. So if I save it now and go back to the page, you see that we are getting the content for each one of them. Can you see? So blog page for drug discovery, like that, or whatever stuff. So if I go back home, click on blog 1, as you can see, we get a separate content. And if I click on blog 2, which is what we have before, if I click on blog 3, as you can see, we get this one. And if I click on blog 4, I get the content for blog 4. But what we just did right now, the data is not going to be like that. This is just like the way you are going to extract out the data. The data is from the backend, but you need to get the ID of the info you want to fetch. So once you receive the ID, you send it to the backend. Backend will give the data that is corresponding to that ID. There is that less for you to display to the user there. And that's what we are going to be doing tomorrow, like that. So we're going to create a page here. We're going to create different pages. I will think about what we need to the one we need to use, but we need something, or we need the design that deal with multiple pages. And again, too, is going to use dynamic routing. So based on what you are sending into it, it will fetch the data, and from there, it will display the content to the user there. And there's a lot of site online that you can use to get this in. For example, you can go to the Figma community. So if you go to Figma community, search for any design, you see different, they are free. So they will give you free design there, and you'll be able to replicate the design there. Another thing you can use is what we normally use, which is the front-end method there. But this one, I don't think it's all of them that have different pages, but there's some content there that deal with multiple pages. Lucky, they just added all this one. Can you see now? So this is something that we can now work on. As you can see, this is something we can use for what we just learned now, because I know that this thing, it's going to be multiple pages stuff. And again, based on what you are picking here, it's kind of adding it here. But some stuff I've not talked about that this thing is using, that I need to talk about there like that, because this thing might be coming from different components. They are not together. This list is not coming from here. But whatever you are doing here, it's going to appear on this page. And again, too, as you can see, there is a confirmation model. The details that is here, you see the same details that is here like this. So I can't use this one now. So we need to know about the states before we start dealing with what is here. But we can go to other challenges there that that deal with something. The same thing here too, as you can see, you are updating something here, and it's working here, which is something that we can use our React for. Like we can combine the two of them together and start sending our props, just like the way we did for our rating, whatever stuff. But when you want to work on something like this, it's better to use the states management there compared to what is here. So here we're going to be using the context to undo something like this. But let me see if they have something that I can think of from one page. All of them is just single page. And the one, this is premium. This one will have been good, but it's premium. But this one too is premium. So yeah, we can use this one. Yeah, I think we were there with this one. So I think you can use this one here because this one is on separate page, it's the same page, but uh, for our own this thing, we can just do it as a separate page. But another thing that's going on there that I don't want to use because it's not technically following what I want to do right now. This one will come later. This is premium again. Why all of them are premium? Yeah, this one too, this one contains three steps which you can use our this thing to do this one. Yeah, you can actually use this here. This is where we're going to start from. I think we're going to use this one because the design actually come with different pages. It's not just one page. Oh. This one is on one page. So that means let me download that one and see if that one too is on one page, because this one too is on one page. It's on one page. I actually have this design. I've already downloaded the design and it's on one page. As you can see, there are three things here, four things there. You have info, the plan, the add-on, and each one of them are decent. So we can now create them as a page. And this one is going to be our nested layout. You can see that if you are here on the two, it will still show that this thing is here. If you're on the third one, all this thing will still be showing. The only thing that is just changing is the content. So this is where our this nested route can comes into use there. So everything that is here will still be showing, but the content here will be changing, which is the different page. We are going to have a page for personal info, a page for to select plan, a page to select add-on, and a page to to see the summary of everything. But this thing is using some stuff that we need to know about because we need to know how to work with form in React. And when you want to work with form, there's some library that can help you to simplify the process. But first, we're going to start from the basic one, like try it by ourselves. It will get to a point you see that we are doing a lot of work, then we now bring a library that simplify the process of working with form there. But let me download this one and see if it's actually not a single page. Because here now, this design, there's no way it's going to be a single page stuff. But let me download it. So start challenge. I need to log in first. So which I'm going to log in with my GitHub account, and once I logged in, then to allow me to download the material like that. And once I download the material, then we can, so yeah, download the starter to download the file. And once the file is, yeah, come outside, yeah, so this is the file. So let me close the modal, and once the file is done, then we can go into the download, and we are going to see it there. And then I will check it if it is just a single page. If it's not single page, then that's good for us. Then we can start the layout, and that is going to be the, like, it will get to some point we are going to pause so that we can explain some other concepts that we need there. Don't forget what we just talked about right now is just the routing, but routing is not the only thing we have. You can say apart from routing, I need to jump into these hooks so that I can explain all these hooks that we have in React. And as you can see, this is what I said we are going to be using later on, the context. Because this one allows you to share states among your component without you passing props from one place to another. Because when you have a lot of components and some of them might not even be together, so how do you now send the information to them? Because they need to use the same info. And how do you send the info? So you need the context that you can use to share data through your application without you passing props there like that. So, but I need to explain what is hooks because we've used one of the hooks here that this React router DOM is giving us, which is this use param. But how can we create our own hooks? What is hooks? What are the rules and so forth like that? So all these things are going to come in there. I think I need to even explain these hooks first before we move into project so that everything can come in together. So I will be explaining this one tomorrow. So I will jump in into the hooks. Then we talk about some of these built-in ones. So these are the built-in one. You can create your own custom one or the one that is coming from other external library like this React router DOM that is giving us this use param. So you too can create your own based on the functionality you are doing. And as you can see, we can now start talking about state management later on, because this is what you need to know, how you can share data across your app. Because your app, some of them of the components you'll be using are using the same data. And whatever anytime you make changes from here to that data, anywhere it's being used, it will update automatically. Just like the way this one happened. I logged in, you see that a lot of things change here after logging in. And if I sign out, you see that some stuff are going to change on the site. Can you see that the way it's displaying is different? And the way things are too, I'm going to react to the application will be different. So if I log in again, you see that the stop there the top is going to change because all these things they are depending on a particular state, and based on that state, if the state change, they will get updated automatically there like that. And we're going to see how to do all these things in the next class there. So this is where I will stop. So I will stop the video and we'll continue from there tomorrow.